All right. Think we're good. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Darcy. I am the creator of the Vibrant Woman course, which is coming up very soon in January. I'm going to put some links below so you can find that and learn more. This is the Vibrant Woman interview series, and I am absolutely delighted and deeply honored to have as my guest today, Rev Bridge Feltus. I'm not even going to begin to try to introduce Rev Bridge myself. I'm going to let her do it. And then we are going to have, this is going to be a juicy one. So I hope you'll stay on board for the whole interview. Rev Bridge, thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for having me.
It's an honor.
I'm happy to be here. We spoke just for a moment before we started, and I am honored to be here and to take part in this healing offering that you are creating for women. Yeah. Should I?
You should introduce yourself. Okay. because here's what happens. Like, you know, in a typical, and so I hope what folks are going to notice here, and Rev Bridge and I will I think name these things as we depart from perhaps invisible traditions that we are actually kind of questioning. And we're going to invite you to question as well. Like, you know, typically in an interview series, like I would be the host and I'm holding the space and I would introduce you. But, you know, that just means I'm going to project all the labels that I think are most important onto you. Right. So, do you want to introduce yourself?
All right, I'll do that. Sure. Well, my name is Bridget Feltus. Everybody calls me Bridge. I do hold the title of Reverend. I am a double ordained minister. I am ordained with the International Metaphysical Society, and I am also ordained in the Universal Life Church. I'm also, actually, I'm triple ordained, I think. I'm also a priestess of orgasm and sexual intimacy. I am a metaphysician. I have a master's degree in metaphysical science and metaphysical parapsychology. And I am the CEO and founder of the Remember Institute and the Intersection for Mankind, both of which, the Intersection is a nonprofit. The Remember Institute is it's an institute. And we have a mission statement for both of these entities. And that mission statement is to promote the idea that art, science, spirituality, and technology should be collaborative rather than oppositional. If we bring all of those together, I think we would have more benefits for mankind, for humanity than we have currently, with these things being in opposition of each other. Sort of like iron sharpens iron, I do believe that all four of these disciplines are important, and that we should respect all four and use them in the creative process as we evolve. So that's what I do. Within the Remember Institute, we have a program called a study path called the curriculum for, this is a mouthful.
It is, take your time, it's worth it.
The curriculum for diversity consciousness. And we named it that to sort of pull away from the identity of diversity and inclusion work, because what we want to do is look at the mind and the heart, and also to revise and adapt history to include the perspectives of people of color and other marginalized groups. So we, our premier program, our premier course is Heal Thyself, Transformative Initiation for people racialized as white. It is not a, well, I'll say what it is first. It's a 6-week course in which our students are taught by teachers of color who are all in multiple ways marginalized. We teach 15,000 years of history of race. We teach about ableism, and LGBTQ plus, LGBTQIA plus rights and issues. We teach about intersectionality. We also talk about all different varying ways that racism and implicit and explicit bias come into play in our everyday lives when you live in Western society. So it is a powerful, powerful course. I know you've taken it, so you know a little bit about that. The people who take our course, their lives are changed afterwards. I've seen many of them walk away from this course having learned basic human skills that they use in their own marriages and in their own relationships. And we've had a family who was about to divorce, who no longer is divorcing. We've had, we had one woman who donated her deed to her yoga studio to a teacher of color who didn't have a studio. We've had many professionals in different fields who have shifted how they do their work and how they run their businesses. So we are really proud to be doing this work. We create a community that stays in connection after the course is over, and we've got over 300 people so far in that community. We love each other. It's like a family. And what I was going to say at the top was, this is, it's not a shame and guilt mill. We don't do that. This is not about, it's not about some sort of weird, dark agenda. My vision for us is connection. And so the work that we're doing there is about connection, connecting with what is true, what has happened in the past, what is happening now, and what we need to do in order to have humanity as a whole evolve in a more healthy and connected way. I'm also a musician.
I was going to say, there's got to be a little more, but.
Oh my gosh. I do a lot of things. I'm also an artist and a musician. So that's in there too a bit.
Absolutely. What I want to lift up here for a minute, if I may, is yes, that's how I met Rev Bridge, was through this course called Heal Thyself. And I'm just going to say that name again, because I think this needs to land. A radical transformation for people racialized as white, which definitely is all the white people I know. And I just want to say, when I took that course, I knew immediately that this was the missing piece for me personally in a lot of ways, but also professionally. And so working with Rev Bridge in that course, and what I learned from her, not just content wise, but just by being with you, there is a transmission of things, of lost things. And I knew that was a piece that I needed to include in my Vibrant Woman course, which for me, I'm going to talk about that for just a minute, is something that I have been creating, sort of like it's been in gestation mode for a long time, for years, for a lot of the years that I was actually living it, because I hit rock bottom burnout. I talk about being marginalized. I had a kid who was brain injured as a baby, and then was going to grow up with this long list of labels and disabilities. And I just that wasn't going to be okay with me. So we took a very unique path to the point where my daughter's now healthy and successful. She's in college.
Wow.
I mean, she's got some, I took this on as a way because I didn't have wanted it to have happened. I was, in some ways, I was trying to erase a reality, one that I wasn't ready for. So that was a whole growing and learning curve for me. But then I realized, like, there is so much that the mainstream does not know about true healing, about living these truths at a deeper level, not just the surface level. Symptoms are a surface level manifestation.
Absolutely.
Right. In so many ways. So my experience was this health journey with my daughter. You're talking about this in other contexts, but it's really important that we begin to challenge what we see on the surface. You cannot dicker around with symptoms and expect to make lasting change or have any true effect.
That's right. And I would say that most of our illnesses and diseases are very much related to the society we live in. And if you think of that society as an ocean, we are swimming in an ocean of sexism, of racism, of violence, of ableism, and of capitalism, and a form of capitalism that puts a few in charge of the many and then exploits the many bodies.
Oh, yeah.
So when your body is commodified, then it is valued based on your body's ability to contribute to the riches of the few. So if you are elderly, if you are a child, if you are disabled, your worth in this ocean is directly related to your value as a worker, as a laborer.
It's so interesting the way you're naming that, because I did not have those words for it. But at a deep level in my being, I understood that about my young daughter. And as a mother, that filled me with absolute terror, right?
Yeah.
For her well-being and safety in this ocean.
Right. And you'll find that, you know, that if you look at children's issues around health, mental health, physical health, emotional health, the challenges that are considered permanent or long-term disabilities, there's much less research in those areas.
Oh, yeah.
There's much less money spent in those areas because the systems that we live within don't see it as profitable. It's not as important. For the longest time, women's health was not considered at all important. And so still to this day, people are shocked that they don't even know what a clitoris really looks like. Like it's much more than that little point that people think of when they think about the part. People don't know the female reproductive system as well as we know the male reproductive system. And there's still a lot of mythology involved in female health because of this. So, and all of that's because at some point, the woman was not considered viable in the workplace.
Yeah.
So her health was not considered a priority.
What that just brings up for me a couple of things. I just want to invite people to notice that the way you introduced yourself was not around the labels that name your relationships to men.
Yes, that's
you
right.
just started naming yourself as like all of your creations. So
yes.
Interesting to note. The other thing that I want to just, because that might slip by a few folks, I don't want it to slip by. And here's another thing. That's why I created this Vibrant Woman course, Rev Bridge. So what I'm telling you is like my journey, and at some point in helping my daughter heal, because I was determined that those labels for her not be permanent and that they not define her worth or her potential or her, you know, her ability to create herself a life. Without much support. And that's a whole other story about, you know, how women, the roles that we take on and the pressure of all of that. But I burned out hard, wrecked my health, but it's real similar tools. In my daughter's and my parallel journey, real similar tools that were used to create or to allow the vibrant health of the human body to do its beautiful, natural thing. And so eventually last year, I just said, that is it. I can't be just talking about this to a few folks like behind this, like I need to make this my thing. This is my calling. I have lived this. I know the power of this. So anyway, Vibrant Woman course is now not just a dream, it's a manifestation. And I'm delighted to let people know Rev Bridge will be a part of that this year. There will be a component that, because this was the missing piece, this understanding the trauma and the oppression that comes from the culture.
Yeah. Yeah, in this ocean, I'm going to keep referring to it as that because we are literally swimming in it. So when you're a fish in the ocean doesn't talk about the ocean. It's not aware that it's in an ocean compared to not being in an ocean. And so it's very, very common for folks, especially if they have white privilege or able-bodied privilege or cis hetero privilege, to not be aware.
Right.
And so when it's brought to their attention, they're shocked, they're defensive, all of these things come up. So there's that piece. But also this ocean is disintegrated.
Right.
And so how does this ocean teach its inhabitants things like integrity? Well, it doesn't. It teaches morals instead. Right. It doesn't teach connection. It teaches etiquette instead. It doesn't teach humility. It teaches passivity instead. And because we don't have and other cultures have this, by the way, other cultures are taught this, it's built into their systems of relating across the board. If you go back I would say pre-Roman Empire, let's go back that far. Most cultures had systems of social agreements around what is integrity, what is humility, how do I contribute to society, and is my contribution to society in integrity with what society needs.
Those are totally different questions, though, than how do I grow up and make a lot of money?
Yes. I mean, how do I grow up and be approved of?
Yeah. Yeah, by making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Totally different question. So that's a totally different orientation toward even what it means to be alive as a human being and what we're after.
Yeah. And you see this very clearly in, some people are going to think I'm stepping on toes here, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah, you go right ahead.
Listen, I don't consider myself to be a feminist. I am a huge proponent, however, of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And for me, historically, feminism is about trying to get what men have.
Right.
However, masculinity is being thwarted and warped into something that it really is not. And so what we're fighting for is the right to act like men, to have what men have, to do what men do, while we simultaneously argue that men are out of whack. It's not making any sense.
No, there's something really, really off about it. There always has been for me too.
Very much so. Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah.
And I have to mention Bell Hooks because she passed today. If you don't know who Bell Hooks is, just look her up. Just Google her, Bell, Bell, Hooks. It's spelled the way it sounds. She is a legendary poet, writer, author, and cultural critic who has done more for feminism and women's rights than many other names that you actually know of very well. Look her up. She passed away today. May she have a unencumbered journey. Pardon me. My perspective around what it means to be a vibrant woman has nothing to do with men. Literally nothing to do with men. I don't think I've ever worked for
so radical. And it's just so radical. I mean, and in the sense that it's like, wait a minute, because even a lot of people who want to feel that way have been we've been trained to identify like that is the point of reference. it's
Yes.
always some male that is the point
Men
of
are
reference.
the apex. Yes. Even the myth of the alpha male, it's a lie. I mean, this was originally a theory that someone had about packs of wolves. Turns out it wasn't even true.
Can you say more about that?
You can. I want y'all to just look it up, because
Okay.
people are going to think I'm making these things up. But the alpha male theory is a myth.
Mm.
It has been disputed and proven to be incorrect. So all the talk about being an alpha male and being an apex human is just, it's a myth.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrapped up in what the Zen Buddhists call conceit, which is self-focused comparative thinking. It's the opposite of humility. And it requires you to be in competition with everyone around you. You have to be better than them to be valued.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to assert that. And then there are people within that system, within that paradigm, who then are asserting inferiority.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are others who are asserting equality. All of these are self-focused comparative thinking. What the Zen Buddhists call humility is oneness. And so when we talk about masculinity and femininity, we have to go all the way back to before they were only, those terms were only used to talk about people with vaginas and people with penises. Because there is gender in everything. Gender is an energy. And if folks don't listen, what I'm really talking about right now is metaphysics.
Mm-hmm.
And we could do a whole lecture about that right now, but I'm sure we don't want to do that.
Well, we probably do, but I don't think they're going to stay on board for that long. They're going to have to sign up to take your class or mine to go deeper. But what I love, that path that you got on that path, though, because we're talking about being a vibrant woman. I knew when I met you, I was like, that is an example of a woman who is so vibrant. And, vibrant, again, is a word that's kind of tough to define. I don't necessarily want to string it together with other words, for the reason that it's something I think we know it when we feel it.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you exude, and what you're getting at by saying, like, none of the aspects of my vibrancy actually depend on anyone else.
Right.
Specifically, they don't depend on my relationship to anyone or any set of men. And that's not to say that we don't love and honor men. It's to say that they're just not the reference point.
Well,
for my
and I would even remove it from a personhood.
Yeah.
And just speak of it as first of all, the version of masculinity in this ocean we're swimming in is not in alignment with the truth of what masculinity is. Mm. That's first.
Yeah.
So just on its own, it's off. It's disintegrated. Mm. So I am not attached to a relationship with that disintegrated paradigm about masculinity. Mm-hmm. That's one. The second thing is everything has both genders in it. Right. Everyone, everything. So I express both masculine and feminine energy. And there are no actions out here in the world that are only one thing. If they are generative, if they are creative, then they have both energies. Because guess what gender means? Creative.
Beautiful.
So in order to be creative, both have to be present. That doesn't mean there has to be a man present. It means there has to be masculine energy present.
It's beautiful you name it like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So And this is not against men.
No, right.
It's, for me, very specifically against this paradigm of what a man should be, because I believe that that paradigm also abuses and oppresses men.
Thank you for that.
And I'll say the same thing, by the way, about racism and white supremacy and white privilege. I think that all of these things are created from the same historical sources. And in those historical sources, the idea was to be able to exploit the people, like we spoke of at the beginning, exploiting the bodies of the people. And so if we arrange these people into groups and pit them against each other and teach them that this group is weaker, or this group is savage, and this group is civil, and this group is holy, and that group is heretic, then we create an ocean for people to swim in that does not really serve them any further than we want to exploit them. So that is the paradigm. And I am, everything I do relates to the wake up, that we are in that ocean and that we need to set it straight.
Absolutely. Me too. Which is why I was so happy to have found your work and for it to inform me personally. I mean, on every level, and then professionally, so we can bring this into digestible forms for other women as well. Because for me, this is all about getting free. Now, my specific course, Vibrant Woman course, was more about a woman becoming free in her body. Because and this is a theme too, like on my social media this week, we're talking about self-care. You know, there's, and what this really is a bunch of myth busting, right? It's like, it's not what you think it is. And let's talk about what it really means. Self-care, you know, maybe it is a bubble bath and a manicure. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do.
What kind of bubbles you're putting in the bath.
I agree with you right there. I'm always like, well, and that's exactly it though. There is a bunch of toxic shit marketed to women under the guise of self-care that's actually making us sick. We're actually, you know, we're spending money on it we really can't afford, that should go somewhere else. And we're doing that because we think we need to. And a bunch of it is actually escapism. Like,
and some of it is even harming the environment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Vibrancy to me has two meanings. First of all, it's coming from viva, which is life, and vibration.
Yes.
Life vibration. And so I can be vibrant while I'm grieving.
Yes.
I can be vibrant while I am angry. I can be vibrant when I'm turned on. I can be vibrant when I am studious. There are all different kinds of expressions of vibrancy. It means to be alive, to be vibrating. Everything vibrates. And if you are in a state where you don't feel alive, you don't feel vibrant, there's a part of you that feels like it's dying. That's depression and oppression. And if we allow ourselves to get stuck there and don't do what there is to do in order to make some changes to our environments, really, as well as our internal selves, both have to happen. This is not an argument that we need to have. Some people want to argue about which one has to happen, but both have to happen.
Well, it is both. And the truth is, as I take care of it, it just depends, I think, on where your focus is to begin. As as I only shop from a local farmer, so there's that. That makes my body vibrant. I mean, it's the neurotransmitters I need for my brain, you know, for it to be at its best, to be creative, to sleep on the right schedule. But it's also money not put in the hands of Frito-Lay, and we know what they're doing, right? So this is it turns out, I think it's really the same things that create vibrant humans, that create vibrant environments.
Created vibrant humans for millennia.
Right.
We need to have relationships with everything around us, but we're disconnected. I don't have to think about it. There's some stranger somewhere who takes care of all of that and delivers the things that supposedly I need to a supermarket, and I don't even have to go to the supermarket anymore. I can just
Right.
Instacart and order what I need from the grocery store. I don't have to even speak to the grocer. I don't have any relationship with what goes into my body until it goes into my body. What is that?
Can we talk about that for a minute under the word? And you've already mentioned this, but this is like the note I had for today, like the word integrity.
Mm.
Can you talk a little bit about what that really means to you? Because I think that was such a big takeaway for me from your course, the Heal Thyself
Yeah,
course.
I would love for people to stop thinking of integrity like they think about morals.
Yes.
I don't, this is a control thing. And this is why people are so turned off by the word morals, because it's about judgment. Integrity, however, means all things are in their place. Integrity means wholeness, completeness, alignment, and integration. Everything integrated. So if that is what integrity means, then to be in integrity, we have to be in alignment with everything that is true. So are we in alignment with nature? Well, if we're putting things into our body that are harmful to our body, then no, we're not in alignment with nature. If we are growing food in ways that are not regenerative to the earth that we're growing the food in, no, we're not in alignment. If we are mass producing in ways that reduce the nutritional value of the food, no, we're not in integrity. If we have people who work 60-hour work weeks or 80-hour work weeks who don't even make 100th of what the owner of the company makes, no, we're not in integrity.
Yeah.
If we live in a society that is so wrought with violence and hostility, and we see it in all of the media all the time, and all of these lies that are being told, and everything's about money. No, we're not in alignment.
And I think one of the problems that we have is that the symptom, this is something that I've become acutely aware of. I know when I'm out of integrity, whether it be, emotional, behavioral, the things you're talking about in the aspect of health and nutrition, no matter what category, if I'm out of integrity, I can feel it because it feels bad. It hurts actually. So it's just, it hurts, whatever. There's a range of labels we can use for the range of, but it hurts to be out of integrity. I feel it in my body. It's painful.
Yeah, there's a thing I say to my private clients consistently, and it annoys them a lot. Every form of upset, jealousy, helplessness, fear, perception of scarcity, self-doubt, worry, any of these forms of upset are indication that something is out of integrity with you.
Because you can feel it.
Yes,
even
when it's a reaction to wrongdoing that someone else has done, your reaction to it, if it's upset, then there is something out of integrity with you. There's a belief or a way of thinking that isn't in alignment with the truth, and therefore it makes you feel bad. It makes you suffer.
Now, here's the problem. What if we're so used to suffering that we just don't even notice? That comes up a lot in my Vibrant Woman class, like people, because I talk a lot about people's bodies and what you can do with the way you move, the way and amount that you move and what you eat and the sleep, to feel better in your body. And some people are like, they're just so used to feeling bad.
Yeah. I have for a few years now felt a lot better after having had about a decade of chronic back pain. And I remember in the beginning, I started seeing a massage therapist, a body worker every week. And in the beginning, there were parts of my body that she would work that I didn't even know
Mm.
there were spasms in the muscles. I didn't know that there was knots and energy stuck in there. And the next day I would be so sore. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And then you've got subtle body energy, which is a whole, there's essence in the body that it's also physical, but it's not visible. It's not something that can be measured per se. And that essence can be injured.
Mm.
And then you can have trauma stuck in there that if it's not dealt with, if it's not addressed and healed, you could be impacted for the rest of your life. And you could impact your children.
Right.
Because of intergenerational trauma.
Pass on the pain.
Yeah. The epigenetics of it, it imprints on the DNA. So we have to be more, first of all, we have to educate each other. We have to do the work and be willing to learn more so that we can educate each other. There's no avoiding that we have to be responsible for our own wisdom, our own knowing. There's absolutely no, it's non-negotiable. In order for us to be in alignment, we have to know what alignment looks like. We have to understand the systems that we live in. We have to understand biology a bit and psychology a bit and energy and all these things. And yes, of course, it's great to have specialists in those areas who can help us with those things, but you have to have a relationship with those people. You have to have a relationship with the farmer. I mean, you have to have a relationship with your spiritual teachers. And most people don't. They're worshiping or either relying passively on authority to tell them what to do. And as we can see across the board in every area of human activity, our leaders need to be questioned more. And as we begin to talk about that, then you got people complaining about cancel culture because you cannot take away someone's power when they're abusive. Or we want to talk about shame. And yes, okay, there can be, yes, there's some frenzied folk out there who go too far, but that's a symptom. Like you said earlier, it's a symptom of living in an ocean that you cannot trust.
That's right. And a lack of real trust in the only place where you can have it, that self, I'm going to call it like inner authority, your sense of inner authority.
Yes.
And that relies on connection to something larger that we can trust.
Yeah. And where it starts is that we have to consistently have conversations about integrity. Yes. Consistently. Am I keeping my word? Am I showing up in the world as the person who I say I am, the person I claim to be, the person who I desire to be? Do I show up in the world as the person who has the things I desire to have? Am I showing up in a way that is representative of the truth and is my contribution a service to myself and others simultaneously?
Thank you for saying that myself, though, because there are a lot of us who kind of get carried away in the wanting to do good by looking good. And so we actually were minimizing the impact that we can have because we haven't started.
Yeah, you're not really doing good. You're faking it.
Thank you for, and this is, we're not trying to call, I don't want to call people out. I want to call attention to this. And because what I was going to ask you, you just filled in. I was going to say, so people who are watching who like, this is resonating and they're saying, well, shit, I need to go a little deeper. I need to look at some of these things. I want that feeling of integrity. I kind of know a taste of it. How do I get there? And I think you just named a bunch of practical ways.
First of all, you get off of this kick about, oh, don't call anybody out. Don't shame anybody. Don't make anybody feel guilty. Forget about all that. What matters is my thoughts, my speech, and my actions in alignment with what is true, what I know to be true, what I strongly feel is true? And are those three things in alignment with being of service to myself and the greater good? If you're not sure, you need to look deeper.
Yeah.
And this is not, listen, the whole thing about shaming and guilting and all of that, this is like fairy tale language. This is all like an extension of the Karpman drama triangle, which people like to pull out and accuse folks of victim mindset these days. But really, outside of that, because that's just a theory that a guy made up, and it sounded really good at the time because we were really stuck in these fairy tale like ways of telling the stories of our experiences. And we have to let that go completely, though, because there are people who get victimized. There are people who cause harm, and there are people who help others heal, or who help others feel better, or who defend others. There are people who do these things. Oftentimes we're doing all three. So get off of it. Worry about, am I in integrity? And if I am not, the only thing that allows me to be redeemed is to let that whole paradigm go. Let the paradigm go so that you can claim in the moment, yes, I'm out of integrity. I can acknowledge that my actions had this harmful impact. I can acknowledge that I did this, and this. That's power.
That is powerful. I mean, I feel it. I feel it even hearing you say it. And I think here's where a lot of, and the shallow end, that's the deep end though, because the shallow end is wanting to look around and say, well, all of you are out of integrity, and where it belongs is here. Right here. And because you can feel it.
Yeah.
And so what that really is, for me, it's become this extremely powerful act of self-care, because if you're off and you know it, the best thing you can do to care for yourself is to get it back in alignment.
That's right. Own it. Own it. Listen, there's so many times as a business owner, and this is, not my first time around the block owning a business, but it is my first time really putting integrity out front and having that be my calling card. It is the key to my success, that if I am in the wrong, if I make a mistake, if my company makes a mistake, that I will own it. I will take the hit, and I will own it publicly. Because if I can't own it publicly, what I'm saying is I'm willing to be dishonest, deceptive, and hide that I am a human being. I'm a healer. I am a teacher. I'm responsible for helping folks, to open the way for folks to find their own freedom and power. I cannot be trusted if in a moment of my own humanity, I cannot say, yes, I was late. I know I said I'd be here at this time. I can acknowledge that the impact for you is that your time was wasted. Let me make it up to you. That's powerful. Yes, I didn't think about making sure that my panel for this event was diverse. Yes, I did that. I understand that the impact of that is that the people who participate in this will have a limited perspective. They will receive limited perspectives from the panel. I understand that it also makes my event less inviting to people who are not represented. Yes, I can own that and do better next time. Any people who are in a frenzy trying to cancel somebody, it's usually because that person has denied any responsibility.
Their responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it is about responsibility, because what doesn't happen then when you actually stay in integrity that way or restore integrity that way. What doesn't happen then is you don't get to sit around and center yourself with silly things like shame.
Yeah, I mean, that is simply disempowerment.
Right.
Nobody can make me feel ashamed of myself. And sometimes when I have to restore integrity, I feel embarrassed. I'm a human being. But I am not willing to allow my feelings of embarrassment to undermine the work I'm here to do. So I would rather be a little embarrassed and say, oops, yes, I did that. I'm going to educate myself and I'm going to do better next time. And let me try and repair whatever damage I did. That's a big part, repairing the damage. And where do we learn this from? If we live in an ocean that was designed to exploit its inhabitants. And understanding that what I'm talking about here, yes, we're talking about racism. Yes, we're talking about sexism. Yes, we're talking about religious persecution, cultural persecution, genocide, all of these things. We're talking about classism. But guess what? All the white people who were feeling defensive about having that conversation, what you need to understand is your defense is coming from fear because your ancestors, your own ancestors, witnessed hangings in the town square, heads being chopped off, people being burned at the stake, women, millions of women killed for their plant medicine and indigenous ways in Europe. Feudalism, imperialism. So there is epigenetic and intergenerational trauma involved. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, absolutely nothing. You didn't create it. But it is our responsibility to come together, you and me. It's why I'm having this conversation with you. And it's a conditional conversation, mind you. You had to show up, Darcy. You had to have the courage to show up and be willing to take on some aspects of how a village community is run. And that's the other person I wanted to mention who passed away last week is Malidoma Some. If y'all are interested, he wrote a book called Ritual, Power, Healing, and Community. I think everybody should read it. It tells the story of the village that he comes from, Dagara tribe in Africa, and what the relationships and contributions were that each person held in that community. And he compares it with larger global communities and how things are in the capitalist Western cis heteropatriarchal white supremacist societies that we live in, that ocean. And it's clearly delineating how we are suffering because of disintegration in our relating.
I hear you. I'm sorry, my screen just shook because I'm trying to stay comfortable in my body over here. So I just can't sit still for that long. But so what I love that you just connected though, is this idea of personal integrity and how really that is where, if we want to be free and we want to make an impact on the world for the better, then we absolutely, there's the micro and the macro level of that integrity. Absolutely. And the root words there that you just, that you so seamlessly, it's seamless when you do it. So I just want to spotlight this, if we're out of integrity, that's why the world looks broken the way it does. It's disintegrated. Those broken pieces are a symptom. They're a symptom.
When you get sick, there's something out of integrity. When you are upset, there's something out of integrity. When your relationships aren't working, there's something out of integrity. When your community is not working, there's something out of integrity. When your city is not working, there's something out of integrity. When your state or your country is out of integrity, you can see it.
Yes.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
And it's all areas that have integrity means everything in its place.
Mm.
So, for example, there are people who are into the earthship thing. I love earthships. They're so cool. These houses that people are building out in the desert and off the grid. They're gorgeous. I love this. But they also have some controversy. They take up energy. They have to draw water away from other areas. So they're not completely in integrity. Everything has to be considered. That's why we talk about art, spirituality, technology, and which one did I forget? Science. All three have to be considered. And this is not new. This is actually ancient teachings.
Yeah, which is why, the idea, and you always say this, come back around
Yes.
to what we have forgotten, to what's been forgotten.
Yes, in Africa, there's a term, a word called Sankofa. What it means is it's okay to go back and get it. Go back and get it, to reach back in time and bring forward the wisdom of the ages in order to benefit mankind. And so, yes, our motto at Remember Institute is, may we remember what we forgot once we, wait, did I just get it wrong? May we remember what we once knew before we forgot who we were.
There it is. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff there. For viewers, and we're getting close on time, really, we should wrap this up, as much as I hate to do it.
I feel like I talked for more than an hour.
Not quite, not quite. It was timeless. It was in a timeless space there.
Guys, we folded time.
So I just want to let people know we're going to put links below this. This video will make its way around social media and a bunch of places. I'm going to try to make sure that its landing place will have some links below, so you can find Rev Bridge at the Remember Institute. And definitely, I highly recommend, as a starting point, the Heal Thyself course. As an alumni, I'm able to offer a very generous discount on that course. So I'm just going to invite people, no matter where you're watching this, reach out to me if that's something you're interested in. I highly recommend it, and I can pass along that discount code to get folks into that course.
Definitely. We have a run starting January 5th. So, okay. And there's still room in that one. So, and we are next year limiting the number of these runs. We've been doing them back to back throughout the year, but next year, as of now, we only have 2 on the calendar. So get in that first one. We expect to sell out. There is an automated open house on our campus in the courses section, where you can watch video testimonials of students who took the course. And yes, there is a huge discount for friends of alumni. That discount's 50% off. So check in with Darcy and take advantage of that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, the other thing I want to mention too is that the other organization, the nonprofit part of your organization, you're going to be doing a bunch of fun things this year too. So, because actually Vibrant Woman course, my new business is going to be supporting that. I'm going to invite people. So maybe we can get some links from you so people can check that out. Maybe you don't have some of that rolled out yet. So I don't mean to speak too soon, but
we just got our 501c.
Got it.
So, and we're in meetings right now to plan the next year. So I'll keep you posted around that.
Following Rev Bridge is the way to get
absolutely,
in touch with that.
Absolutely. Take this course, y'all, and then join our community. The community is free, but you have to take the course in order to be a part of the community. The people in that community are amazing. We are planning all sorts of actions for the next year and moving forward Beyond that, there's a community in Atlanta of refugees from Uganda that we want to support. So that's one of the things our nonprofit is considering doing next year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so stay in touch with us. Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. Find out more information from Darcy.
That's right. And then so folks who are wanting to take control, and not just folks, women folks who are wanting to take that step toward self-empowerment and self-authority in terms of your health and your vibrancy. Vibrant Woman course starts in January as well. Rev Brig is going to do one of the sections. So if you want to learn more from her in that context, that is the place for you as well. And we're going to put all that below. And before I let you go, I do want to ask you one more sort of quick question. This is just coming sort of on the theme of being a vibrant woman and the idea that we, well, we're either consciously or unconsciously creating the women that we are. And I want to ask you, what do you love most about the woman you're creating?
Wow. She is mostly a human being with a full range of expression. And she is practicing courage and creativity in her everyday life. And I'm enjoying her quite a bit. She's fun, she's funny, she is irreverent and reverent at the same time. So yeah, I think that kind of sums it up.
It's beautiful. So thank you, Rev Brig. I just want to take a second to express my love and gratitude for you and the work you do and for the time you shared with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here and looking forward to meeting your folks in the Vibrant Woman course.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.